On this episode of the movie vlog, why directors can't have as much creative freedom on franchise films, the Hellboy director talking about CG versus practical effects as well as their R rating, and actor Michael Nyqvist passes away. Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of the movie vlog. I'm of course John Campea, and let's dive into it and start with this. As many of you know, directors Guillermo del Toro Hellboy series is over, but that doesn't mean Hellboy is over. Hellboy, the comic book character, makes his way back to the big screen under the direction of Neil Marshall. Now, of course, the comic book was created by writer Mike Mignola, and Mike Mignola is also penning the script, or is at least one of the writers penning the script for the new film. Now, a lot of people have been wondering, will Hellboy be more CGI, or will he be a practical effect much like he was in the Guillermo del Toro films? Well, director Neil Marshall decided to make some comments on that, and he said this: "It's definitely going to be as practical as we can possibly make it. I love to do stuff in camera whenever I can, and use CG as the amazing tool that it is, to enhance or expand upon the world, but not to use it to replace reality. When you can, do it for real." Now, of course, director Neil Marshall is no stranger to scary stuff. He directed one of my all-time favorite horror films, The Descent. He's also directed some episodes of shows like Game of Thrones, Westworld, and Hannibal. And he's got himself a pretty good new actor playing Hellboy himself. He went out and got David Harbour. Most of us will recognize David Harbour, of course, as playing the sheriff in the outrageously popular Netflix series Stranger Things. Now, he was also asked a little bit about what the rating of the film would be, and he specified that he's been given the green light to make it R-rated, but that doesn't necessarily mean he will make it R-rated. Here's what he had to say about that. "We've been granted permission to do it R-rated, which for me is just like taking the cuffs off. It's like, okay, so now we can just make the movie we want to make. It's not like I'm going to force it to be R-rated, but if it happens to come out that way just because of my own sensibilities, then fine. And nobody's going to stop us." So that's the main difference. And I'm sure, obviously, the success of things like Deadpool and Logan have not hurt that cause. But also, when you go back the original material, it is kind of bloody, so I'm going to embrace that. Neil Marshall is just a director I trust. What he did with The Descent, it's probably my second all-time favorite horror movie. The way he used atmosphere and the setting to convey dread and horror and all that kind of stuff, especially working with Mike Mignola, the creator of the character, working on the script with you, it's nothing but good things. So I really like what he has to say about this stuff. On a sadder note, it was reported today that actor Michael Nyqvist, who you may remember from the original Growth of Dragon Tech 2 movies, he also played the big villain Vigo in the first John Wick movie. How great was he in that? He has sadly passed away after a battle with lung cancer at the age of 56. Now, a lot of people still haven't seen the original Growth of Dragon Tattoo films, and I really encourage you to go out and check those out. He, of course, plays the lead character in there. But what he did in John Wick, I'll never forget. The movie, the moment that got me completely on board with John Wick, that I remember I was just laughing hysterically, was the way he handled the scene when he's on the phone with the guy, and the guy says, you know, "Why did you hit my son? Because he ruined this guy's car. Who cares?" And then he says to him on the phone, "It was John Wick's car." And the way that Michael Nyqvist just went, "Oh." It's just one word, but the way he said it and the way he acted that scene out, to me, was just, it encapsulated the movie and the tone of the movie so perfectly. When you've got a character like John Wick, he only stands out great if you have a great nemesis for him. And it was that Vigo character that I believed allowed John Wick to really shine and really become the movie that it was. So really sad the passing of Michael Nyqvist, again, at the age of 56. Now, the last thing I want to talk about today is actually a topic I've been meaning to bring up for a while, and the movie vlog is a great place for me to do it. And it's kind of highlighted because I got an email from one of the viewers named David Gable who wrote this to me. "After the events of high-profile creative directors like Edgar Wright and Phil Lord and Chris Miller leaving high-profile projects like Ant-Man and Han Solo, is it time for fans to reconcile that, when in doubt, these major studios would rather play it safe than go off the beaten path?" Well, this is a part of a larger conversation that has really come up a lot lately about how much creative freedom should directors have when dealing with franchise or shared universe films. Now, as you well know, whenever it comes to studio versus creative people, whether it's actors or directors, it is our natural tendency as fans to go side with the artist against the man. I mean, that's really what it is. And quite often when I've seen these debates happen about, whether Edgar Wright should have stayed on Ant-Man and done the movie he wanted to do, or whether Marvel was right to replace him with somebody else to keep the movie in line with the shared universe, whether, it was right for them to fire Lord and Miller off of Han Solo and do the movie they want to make as opposed to bringing in somebody else who will do what the studio wants to do, we often take the side of the artist. And that's cool, I get that. But directing a standalone film is different from directing a franchise, or in this case, a shared universe film. There's a lot more to be taken in consideration. You can't just have a director come in and do whatever they want to do and make whatever movie they want to make when you, as the filmmakers, or at least as the studio, have more invested than this one movie. When you have bigger plans than just this one film, then there's automatically a little bit of a restraint that needs to be put on the directors. To put it in context, think of it this way. Think of a director on a shared universe film more like a director on a television series than on a movie. See, in the television world, the director doesn't have the power. The power really rests with the writers, because the writers are the ones who know the whole story. The writers are the ones who understand the past of these characters and where these characters are supposed to be going in their future. They understand what story stuff is going on now and what story stuff they have planned for down the line. And they can't have a director come in one episode and muck everything up. Because what happens? What happens if the director of episode 4 of Breaking Bad comes in and goes, you know what I think would be really great in this episode? I'm going to kill Walter White. And then the studio goes, what the hell are you talking about? We have plans for Walter White. Nah, don't interfere with my creative freedom. I want to kill Walter White. It'll make for a great episode. I understand that it'll make for a great episode, but we have 5 seasons of plans for Walter White that you are going to screw up if we let you do whatever you want to do. Or let's look at The Office for a second. If suddenly in the 2nd season of The Office, they took a director who was directing, like I said, the 2nd episode, and they come in, the director goes, you know what? I'm seeing something really cool here. Let's make the Jim character gay. Let's reveal him to be gay in this character, because that'll make a really cool, interesting episode. And the studio goes, oh, okay, yeah, that's cool and everything, but we just spent a season and a half kind of setting up Jim and Pam, and we have these plans for the future of Jim and Pam, and if we let you do whatever you want to do, you're going to ruin our future plans. Don't talk to me about your future plans. I am the artist. I am the creative creator. Let me direct the show I want to direct. Now, granted, that's a little bit of hyperbole, but in essence, that's what's happening here. When you're dealing with a shared universe movie or a franchise film, you are kind of dealing with a television scenario where you can't just worry about that one movie you're making. You have to keep in mind the repercussions of messing up canon from the previous films and messing up what the writers and the studio's future plans are for this franchise. They can't just let a director walk in and do whatever they want to do. There has to be some guidelines, some restraints. Make sure the director understands these are the things you can do and these are the things you can't do. Make sure you don't interfere with this, and this, and make sure our character comes out like this because it's going to set up what we're doing in the next movie. And I'm sorry, I know it's the cool thing to say, always side with the director. I know that's what the cool kids do, but in situations like this, no, the studio has to think about the franchise as the whole. The studio has to think about the shared universe as a whole. They can't just worry about giving this director whatever he wants and let him do whatever he wants to do. There have to be restraints because there's a bigger story to worry about than just what this one director wants to do in this one installment of the franchise. So anyway, I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Do you think my analogy of really comparing the director of a franchise film to that of a television director is applicable here, or do you think it's not applicable? Do you see it another way? Do you agree with me? Jump into the comments section and let me know your thoughts. What do you think about directors being given as much freedom as they want on franchise films, or should they be limited? Also, give me your thoughts on Hellboy, the passing of Michael Nyqvist, or anything else you want. I'll be back again tomorrow. Thanks for joining me, guys. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you're following me on social media, on Facebook and on Twitter, just @John Campea. I'll be back again tomorrow. Thanks for joining me, and until then, bye-bye.